So a guy walks into a mechanic's place and says, my car right around the corner just broke down, and you need to fix it. I'm very important, and I'm rich, and all that. So go fix my car. I need my car to work in 20 minutes. The mechanic said, okay, what happened? Well, I didn't put oil in it for ages, and oil light's been on for days and days, and it just suddenly going and stopped. And so the mechanic looks into it a little bit and says, oh, yeah, your engine is seized up. Your car is doomed. Well, I have to be somewhere in 20 minutes, so you have 20 minutes to fix it. And the mechanic says, nobody can fix this in 20 minutes. You need a new engine. It's all the way seized up. Your engine is doomed. Well, I need it. It's very important that I have my car. I'm very rich and I'm very important and I need my car in 20 minutes. Okay, you're not going to have your car in 20 minutes. Maybe you can get an Uber or something or a rental, but you're not going to have your car. I need my car in 20 minutes. This is desperate. This is an emergency. A lot of people look at the nastiness going on in the world as a result of authoritarianism, and they're desperate for it to end. I can totally sympathize with that. I'm desperate for it to end too. Constant injustice, including outright murder and warmongering and the most horrible imaginable things as a direct result of the belief in authority. And so people want a quick fix, and they get desperate, and they get frantic, and they don't want to accept that there isn't one. There isn't a quick fix to this. Well, yeah, philosophy's all fine and good, but we have to do something. And the ones who say, you're just sitting around talking and saying things, we have to go do something. Nothing you can do, absolutely nothing you can do, is going to quickly fix this. Because this doesn't come from there's a bad guy, there's a villain, and if we just have him die in some spectacular way, then the rest of us live happily ever after. There are many, many thousands of villains, and there will be many, many thousands of new villains if those ones get eaten by a walrus. Because people believe in authority. They believe in positions of power, and then either kind of well-intentioned people get positions of power, and then they forget to be well-intentioned, or more often, psychopaths gravitate towards the positions of power. And here's the thing, I totally sympathize with wanting it to end immediately. It's not going to. When you focus on an election, you're accomplishing nothing at all. Not a shred. Zero. But if we vote libertarian, you know who voted libertarian? The first people who voted in the U.S., pretty much the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, were both more libertarian than the Libertarian Party is right now. They voted for it. Both sides were more libertarian than they are now. Where did that end up? Oh, right here, with the biggest authoritarian empire in the history of the world. Oops. But this is so important. And we have to vote Trump this time around. You know, the libertarians do it. The people frantic to vote Trump because Biden's going to lead us into a third world war. Rah, 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 rah. Maybe he is. Maybe Trump is too. And there isn't really going to be a third world war the way you think of it. The way most people think of, like, there's not going to be a ground war like World War II. Anyway, that's a different topic. People frantic and desperate for a quick fix always do the wrong thing when it comes to authoritarian power. Just always. Now, there can be individual cases where there may be a particular act of authoritarian injustice and people have to stand up and resist it. I'm not saying don't resist, just go along with it. Not at all. People have the absolute right to defend themselves against aggressors, even if the aggressors have badges and laws on their side. Now, whether it's a good idea practically speaking in any given situation, that's a different question. Because there's lots of stuff that, yeah, you can, like, this is where I draw the line. You pulled me over for not having the right sticker on my car. Well, you'd be justified in resisting their attempts to rob you for not having the right sticker on your car, but it's almost certainly going to end badly and it won't do anything to improve the world. Now, I don't claim to have the ability to tell everybody to where to draw their lines and what they're willing to resist. A lot of people, a lot of voluntarists I know, go along with, including myself to some degree, go along with a fair amount of stupid authoritarian crap, like I have a driver's license and do all that stuff because I'm trying to minimize how much they harass and rob me. In the meantime, I know some people who are, their approach is, I'm not even going to do that. Okay, and people can decide on their own what level of resistance they want to do. But if you can't back up and see the bigger picture and see what has to happen, all of your righteous indignation and fury and desperation will accomplish jack squat. You can yell at the mechanic that you need your car with the seized engine to work in 20 minutes. It's not going to. And this, I mean, it's obvious, but a lot of people, a lot of even pro-freedom people seem to have not learned the lesson. They don't know how to be patient. And again, I can sympathize. I don't want to be patient either. I just know there isn't a choice in the matter. Because what actually changes this, the thing that's been going on for centuries, is a fundamental shift in the beliefs and mentality of the general population. That is the only thing that changes it. Not an election. Ever, 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 ever. Never will any election fundamentally change anything. And nor will a revolution, for that matter. I see a number of people who get frustrated and angry and righteously so at authoritarian injustice, and they say, oh, the time for words and trying to convince people is over. Now it's time to go do something. What? Do what? Let's go overthrow them. Yeah, that's going to, you and your cousin Bubba overthrowing the federal government, that's going to work out great. And in the process, the whole world's going to be against you because they're going to see you as the aggressor. So it doesn't matter. Your feels don't matter. This is true in so many ways, and even some pro-freedom people seem to forget this. It doesn't matter how enraged you are and how desperate you are to have some injustice end. Your anger, your righteous indignation won't end it. And if you have the humility and the self-awareness to back up and say, okay, what can I actually do that will actually do some good? Not, we have to do something. That's the status mindset, and that's what the politicians love to use when there's like a school shooting or something. This is really hard, but we have to do something. Is it A, something moral, and B, something that's going to do any good? No, but it'll empower the ruling class, so that's what they do. They go after people's emotions and pretend that you can quick fix something. Now, there are some things you can quick fix. The mentality and philosophy of the human race is not one of those things. It is a gradual, ongoing thing. And by the way, it isn't, again, so many pro-freedom people have like no perspective on how far humanity has come so far. So they think, this is the worst it's ever been. No, it isn't. Not by your wildest imagination is this anywhere near the worst it's ever been. The amount of ways in which humanity has accepted the concept of self-ownership and individual sovereignty, even without knowing those terms, is huge. The way tribes used to treat each other, the way slavery used to be accepted and legal, the way violent abuse of spouses and children used to be just everywhere and accepted as there's this huge list. I did a video called The Evolution of Freedom. I forget what my own video was called, where I went through a million things that have happened. Well, not quite a million. where along the way, even in the midst of authoritarian crap, people said starting back with Magna Carta, the idea that, well, the king just can't do anything he wants. There have to be some limits. Even that was a demonstration that people's belief in self-ownership was starting to grow. And there are a million other steps along the way. This is a long-term shift in humanity. That is the only thing that fixes this. So when people are like, well, in this case, we have to go vote, or we have to go have a revolution, or I'm sick of talking, we have to go do something. Talking is the only thing. I'm going to say this again. Talking is the only thing that has ever fundamentally changed humanity's moral code and point of view. It's the only thing that ever does. So when you're just talking. Yeah, I'm just talking. Now, I have my own lines in the sand where if they attempt that, I'm going to resort to physical defensive force. But not to fix the world, just there's some things I'm not going to tolerate. And maybe I'll die, maybe I won't. Hopefully that we won't find out because those things won't happen. But like the V for Vendetta line, ideas are bulletproof. That is true in the other direction too. Shitty ideas are also bulletproof. Authoritarianism is bulletproof. You can't shoot people's belief in political authority out of them. I mean, if you killed everyone who believed in it, okay, first of all, you'd be an evil psycho. Second of all, population of 3, like, you're going to try to do mass slaughter for humanity's sake? But it's so important to understand that the same battle of ideas is happening in both directions. There are the sociopaths who push the ideas that trick people into being subservient. There's the slavesmiths of the world doing what they do to control people, and it works on a lot of people. And you can sit there and be angry about it and impatient about it and frustrated and have your righteous indignation. Me too. That's fine. But you're not going to do anything about it unless your goal is the people that the tyrants are talking to. And this is something that I like. When people are well-intentioned and really throwing their heart and soul into something, I don't like to have to point out that's not doing any good. But there are a lot of times when you can try really hard at something that is 100% doomed to fail. And I think the nice thing for somebody to do, if they understand reality, is say, that's not going to do anything. Everyone out there voting for the Libertarian Party or anybody else, you're not accomplishing jack shit as far as actually promoting the freedom of humanity. If anything, you're dragging it backwards. But this is so important. It doesn't matter. Your feels don't matter. Your desperation doesn't matter. Your wishful thinking doesn't matter. Voting has never and will never do anything at all to actually promote human freedom. Because it's founded on the premise that we need a ruling class and that we mere peasants, all we can do is bicker about who should sit on the throne. As long as you play along with that game and make it look legitimate, you're doing less than nothing. And it doesn't, well, we're going to get these delegates and do this and that whole ridiculous spectacle. You're doing nothing. That is, in fact, that's worse than doing nothing. Meanwhile, well, at least we're trying. You're just sitting around saying words. Yep. Slavery ended because people said words. And then at some point, people said, all right, now we're going to use force and we're going to end this. A lot of that didn't even end by force. It ended by juries who said, yeah, these laws are evil and psycho. And we're just going to say not guilty. This person obviously helped slaves escape. We're going to say not guilty anyway because we think he was right to do so, even though the law said you're not supposed to do that. That is the mind shift of those people that made that difference. It wasn't the violence. It was them thinking, this is wrong, I'm not going to help with this. And there's a zillion examples in history. I mean, look at Gandhi. Again, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a pacifist, but Gandhi said stuff, and a bunch of people listened to him. And then lots and lots of people in India were like, yeah, maybe we should just not do what they say. And yeah, they'll beat the hell out of us for a while, but eventually, if we just don't do what they say, they lose control, which they did. That was just words that made that happen. Words followed by actions, obviously. But if Gandhi had showed up, come on, grab a gun, we're going to overthrow them. Most people would have gone, no, we're not. What are you talking about? Oh, that guy died. He's some weird extremist. The shifting of mentality and philosophy in humanity is the thing that matters. So it's the thing to focus on. Okay, I'm going to end the YouTube version of this video, but I'm going to get into some specifics for Rose channel subscribers. So if you don't yet subscribe to the Rose channel and you want some of the longer versions of these videos, it's therosechannel.com.